What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Once again, we're going to do these late 2019 reviews, and you know what? I've been doing these for a couple years now, and last year I kind of went, focused a little bit too much on the iPhone side. The year prior, I only did iPhones. This year, when I'm doing these late reviews, I kind of want to do a balance, a ton of iPhones, but a ton of Androids as well. Some of the major ones that we looked at, in the beginning of this year and throughout. So in these ones, I'm going to go more in detail than my mid 2019 reviews or my mid-year reviews, kind of brushing up on the end of year, seeing the depreciation of these phones, seeing, if they're still good pickups, if they're not. Now, most of the ones I'm going to be covering, I'm sure they are still usable phones. They're going to be, get you from point A to point B, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're like the best of the best or whatever, even in the terms of the used market. But to start off and to kick things off, we're going to be starting off with the iPhone 6s and, taking a look at it in late 2019. Now, even from the mid-year review, a lot of things have changed, okay? I don't know how to reiterate it. The hardware itself is the same, obviously, but we got a new official version of iOS. We've since gotten so many other things with the iPhone 6s specifically, which is so weird. For an older phone like this, so we usually don't see this much stuff, but to kind of give you a little recap, okay, the iPhone 6s was released in 2015 in September. So this year, actually, it already turned 4 years old, which is pretty intense, The 6s, in my opinion, is one of my favorite iPhones. I didn't use this one as a main phone, but I used the 6s Plus as a main phone for kind of a short period of time. And I had a pretty good time with it, I'm not going to lie, I'm not going to fit. But looking around the body, I mean, you can tell, there's quite a bit of a bezel on it. It doesn't have like the newest design, obviously with like the iPhone 10 and other phones with the S10 and Note 10. All these phones have like very slim bezels, no bezel on the front, hole punch displays, notches, and Face ID, this and that. But this one, it's still a usable design. I think so many people are so familiar with this design that it's not really that big of a deal. The one thing to keep in mind, though, is that the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus are still being sold brand new at the Apple stores. So to kind of make you feel a little bit better, you're technically, you have the same design as a phone that's still being sold in the stores. So it's like, it isn't that big of a deal. It's just how you interpret it, really. This one still has Touch ID 2 as well. And the build quality doesn't seem cheap, but you can tell from the phones we have now, even like the iPhone 11 Pro with the glass backs and with a very nice chassis and all those things, it definitely makes it feel like a much more premium device, in my opinion. The 6s doesn't feel like a cheap one, though. You still have the lightning port as well as the headphone jack, which is super nice. So I love seeing that combination. This was the last iPhone to have a headphone jack, well, the SE kind of, but this one, the design, I guess, was the same. The design wise, I think this was the last one, which is pretty crazy. Now, the biggest thing we've seen since the release, I would say, in my opinion, at least from the mid-year review, was the repair program for the iPhone 6s, the 6s Plus as well. But this one was just released, I think, last week. So if your serial number falls into the time frame of which they were actually inquiring about the specific random shutdowns or whatever, then you can actually send in your iPhone 6s for free and get it repaired and fixed on their behalf. So I would really recommend you guys to do that if you're interested in that. But like I said, outdated design, but we're kind of used to it, so it's really not that bad. And even the iPhone SE 2 might have that same design, so who knows? Maybe, you can still kind of flex on people about it. So I wouldn't really freak out about it too much, in my opinion. So that kind of covers up the outside. Still, pretty premium device, in my opinion. However, the biggest thing that we've seen since then was probably iOS 13 official version, which falls under software. And we're now on 13.1.2, I believe. I kind of forget the numbers. They've been releasing them like crazy. But here's the sad thing, and I hate to say it, I haven't really heard too many people talking about it, but I don't think the iPhone 6s is going to be getting iOS 14. I think there's probably like a 40-60% chance that the 6s is going to get it, 40% that it is going to get it, 60% that it's probably not. So there's more of a chance that it's not going to get it than it is. And the reason I say that is because I don't think the SE is going to get iOS 14 because, as everyone stated with iOS 13, we really didn't think it was going to get it. I kind of thought it, but I was just the 6s will probably not get iOS 14, in my opinion, because of the SE. And it's not even just because of the SE, but, it's kind of ending at its, normal life cycle. The 6 got iOS 12 and it ended there. So this one, it kind of makes sense for it to get iOS 13 and kind of ended there as well. But that doesn't mean this phone is going to be super slow or super outdated. In my opinion, this is kind of crazy, but I think the iPhone 6s is one of the first iPhones I would recommend people to get, even outside of its regular software life cycle. And the reason I say that is because the 6s is such a good performer, in terms of speed and performance, which I'll get into in a second. But this phone has been nothing but great for me. I've had no issues with it really at all in terms of performance and in terms of software. So even after its regular software lifecycle, I would kind of still recommend people to pick it up in my opinion. But I don't know, it's kind of like 40% that it's going to get iOS 14, 60% is probably not, in my opinion so far, but that's kind of it in terms of software. Now, in terms of the performance itself, now a little bit of background, this thing has the Apple A9 chip, but it had the first 2 GB of RAM on any iPhone that we've ever seen, which is so important. I feel like that totally differentiated from its previous predecessors. Well, predecessor means previous, but in my opinion, even before iOS 13, it was a very fast device. I really had nothing to say about its performance, but then iOS 13 came out and it might have improved it a little bit. I did my comparison between iOS 12 and iOS 13 officially, and I don't really remember if I saw that big of a difference, but there might have been a little bit, so keep that in mind. However, I did recently compare to the brand new iPhones, which you guys might think it was like a random comparison or whatever, but I knew I was going to bring it back later into this video. So look at this, okay? I did see that the 11 Pro, the iPhone 11, they were faster devices for sure, and I was already expecting them to be faster devices, but from what I saw, I don't think the iPhone 11 or 11 Pro were like mind-blowingly fast, okay? They are still very compelling devices. They're still extremely, extremely good for what they do. But the fact of the matter is that the 6S, for some reason, still hold its own. It can still hold its own, or whatever for saying is. It can still, perform at levels that that is comparable to the iPhone 11 and 11 Pro. And if you remember early on this year, I found out for some reason the 6S, maybe it was the 6S Plus as well, but they have the same specs and everything. The 6S was just as fast as like my iPhone 8 Plus and my iPhone 10, which came out years after, have way better chips, way more RAM. And it's so weird that that is the case. It's definitely an interesting thing. It's a definitely interesting phenomenon. So without a doubt, I will say from early on this year to now, I don't think the 6S has sped up that much, even at least from mid-year to now. But that's definitely not a bad thing. I still think the iPhone 6S still holds its own. It's still a very good performing device. And I don't think that's a bad thing at all, man. So with that being said, the 6S still has my seal of approval in terms of performance. Now moving on to the camera quality, in late 2019 right now, I think, it's pretty hard to say that we haven't had an evolution of camera systems. We've definitely seen that. I mean, even with like the Galaxy S10, the Galaxy Note 10, and now with the iPhone 11, 11 Pro, I mean, we have so many camera sensors. We'll probably end up going to get like 12 camera sensors by next year, which is going to be impressive. And now with the Pixel 4 coming out as well. But more camera sensors don't necessarily mean you're going to use them all the time. It's definitely more features. And the reason I say that is because the iPhone 6S, with its 12 megapixel one camera lens on it, I don't think it's a bad camera system at all. Like, I still think it's a very, very compelling device in terms of the camera. For me personally, I'm not that big. I like cameras, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not trying to say I hate the camera quality or anything like that. But when a phone manufacturer only focuses on the camera quality improvements, that's when I'm starting like, dude, can we see something else? Like, all right, with the iPhone 6S, you can still shoot 4K videos. You can still get very, very good photos. And if you're kind of familiar with like Photoshop or other photo editing apps, then I guess, you'll be perfectly fine. But that's probably one of its least strong suits right now. Like, there's no portrait mode. There's not that much bokeh effect. There's no 4K at 60 frames. So, I mean, this phone has aged, and it's definitely showing its age in terms of not only the camera quality, but also the features themselves, because we've gotten way more features since then, including ultra-wide sensors, telephoto lenses. But I think for the time being, for what you're getting, I don't think it's like a horrible thing. Like, I think people over-exaggerate the camera quality of devices nowadays. I think if you showed me a picture of the 6S and like an iPhone XS or iPhone 11, I would probably be able to tell the difference, but for the average user, I don't think you would even care. So that kind of covers up the camera quality. I know that was kind of like a blatant answer, but that's just kind of what I think. Now, hitting on the last thing, which is the battery life, in my opinion, I'm just going to get right to it. Okay, it has a 1,715 milliamp battery, and I don't think it's that good. I think even if you replaced it, it probably isn't that good either. If it was like that full 1715, which it's probably not, it's probably depreciated over time if you're planning on getting it used. And that's probably one of my least favorite things about this phone. And some people want to blame the software. I can tell you, I don't think iOS 13, for a majority of users, I don't think it affected battery life at all, not in a good way and not in a bad way for at least a lot of my devices. I think my iPhone SE got a little bit of an improvement, but other than that, the 6S, for some reason, it just wasn't really that good in battery life, and it's still there. It's still kind of in that like medium to lower medium range for battery life. So that's kind of how I would cover up that. And, that kind of covers up this whole entire, late 2019 review. And, ultimately, the iPhone 6s is a tremendous phone still for the value that you're getting. I mean, early this year, we saw them selling for about that $150 range. From now, for the base model, you can probably pick one up for like $90, 90 to 90, definitely less than 100. So we've seen quite a bit more depreciation considering the fact that we're getting, better phones every year, year after year. So what I can tell you is the iPhone 6s is still a tremendous phone in my opinion. It's one of the best value per dollar phones as well. And it's still worth it for at least its software cycle. I mean, it's going to stop probably at June of next year, which is not a bad thing. You're still going to get like 7 more months of software support, 6 more months. So, and even then, you're still going to be getting security updates and app updates through the phone's app store as well. So it's like, even if it's done getting software updates, it's not that big of a deal. So what I would tell you and what I would recommend you guys is, if you don't have an iPhone 6s and if you want to get one, I don't think it's a bad device. I would recommend at least getting the 128 gig model. But if you have even a little bit more money to spend, I would honestly probably recommend saving up for at least like a used iPhone XR. You can pick those up for like around $350 to $400, which is a lot more now that I say it. Or you can go and get like an iPhone 7 or 7 Plus. I would probably stay away from those though. I would at least go for like an iPhone 8 at that point. But man, that's pretty much it. If you want to pick up a 6S or iPhone 7 or iPhone 8, I'll leave links to in the description for those if you want to pick them up. Also, don't forget, if you want to win a free iPhone XR, I'm still giving one of those away. If you want to enter that giveaway and it's still open, click that second, third, fourth link down in the description. It'll say free iPhone XR giveaway. Just watch that video, click on that video and watch it. It'll explain exactly how to enter. It's completely free. I just want to say thank you to you guys. But that's pretty much it. If you guys have any other questions or you have anything else to add, let me know in the comment section below. Hit that like button, that'll mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. Every single subscriber that we get really does count, so it'll mean so much if you guys could hit that. Also check out the other links down in the description as well. My Twitter, my Instagram, my second channel. All those links are linked down below. I'd really appreciate it if you guys could check it out. But more importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.